All right, well, yeah, that's Miss T, um, known for eating her puppies, and so whenever it was close to time for her to deliver, I brought her into my house, and she actually gave birth in my house. Um, she had, as I remember it, two pups, both males, and every bite of food they ever ate, I fed them by virtue of holding them on her tits. She could not be trusted to be with pups alone. So, yeah, as they got a few weeks on them, I realized, or got a few months on them, I realized that one of them did not have descended testicles. So we ended up putting all of their eggs, huevos, literally, in one basket. And I raised both of them, gave the other one away to a good home, and evaluated the T-bone dog a bit and found him to be a high caliber, typical bolio dog with high ability, high intelligence. And I sent him out to Vinny, and yeah, he produced amongst repeatedly a lot of good dogs. They produced the Miss Nevada bitch, who was one of Vinny's favorites. Vinny bred, let's see, I've got the pedigree pulled up here. Vinny bred Miss Nevada by putting T-bone on the top and a daughter of Patrick's Homer named Polga on the bottom. But yeah, Vinny always spoke very, very highly of Miss Nevada and everything to do with her, what she produced and how she was as a performance animal. So what we're doing here, we're just kind of coming into this sideways. I was just looking at the pedigree of Vinny's buddy boy, who, as Vinny has dialed things down in his yard in Mexico, he sent to us the buddy boy dog, which we're very grateful for. Buddy boy already had a history of producing some high caliber animals, and it was arguably Vinny's best stud. If I were in a position to choose, he's the one I would have chosen. But Vinny called me one day and said he wanted him to come to me and be used to the best advantage for the remainder of his life. And we're happy to have him here, and he gets bred on a regular basis. I'm just looking at the components of his pedigree, and he's off of Lucky Way and Vinny's dog's Black Girl. Lucky Way goes back to a brother-sister breeding, Shy Boy to Shy Girl, and those two dogs were produced by breeding Black Angel to Miss Nevada. Black Angel, of course, is an icon for great dogs in that area of the United States, northern Mexico, southwestern United States, off of Little Gator, who was off of my spike dog bred to Miss Mouth. Miss Mouth was an extraordinary producer of her own right. She was just like, she was like a little Chinaman. She was just a smaller, feminine version of Chinaman. So that package produced Lucky 2 and Lucky Way. Lucky Way again being the father of Buddy Boy. On the on the bottom side, we have Shy Boy, Shy Girl, Shy Boy, Shy Girl. So you can see that he loads Buddy Boy loads very heavily on that combination of dogs. Again, Black Angel to Miss Nevada. Bottom quarter of the pedigree. My friend Jeff at Carolina Game Dogs had a title dog named Jethro, and was bred to Vinny's Toscana. Toscana also being out of Shy Girl, which is again Black Angel to Miss Nevada. So, at any rate, for those of you who don't really know much about that pedigree, I see it primarily as a combination of two of the best dogs that Vinny ever owned or was associated with, and that would be Black Angel and Miss Nevada. The bulk of the pedigree comes from those dogs. So we were just having a conversation here about studs that we have neglected to put on our website. And that's because we always find another thing to do and another thing to do. It's a very busy, it's a very busy operation. It's a very busy life, and I am committed to getting the website updated. But in the meanwhile, we're going to talk about in this segment of the podcast. We're going to talk about some of the dogs that we have on the yard that have not made it to the stud list yet. Not meaning that they're not part of the stud group, they in fact are, but just meaning that for one reason or another, maybe it's not a good time of year to take pictures, or this, that, or the other. We just haven't got them up on the list yet. So we just added another dog. Let me back up and say a few other things. Having a good relationship with various high quality kennels around the world empowers what we do. If not every good dog in the world is born on Bulldog Hill, maybe a majority of them, but by virtue of having good relationships with others, we are the recipient of some high caliber genes to augment what we're already doing here. In many cases, there's already influx and outflux or an exchange with other kennels. In many cases, if we get something back, it went from here to there, or some portion of it did, and then from there back to here. And we embrace any possible mechanism that yields the highest caliber dogs that we can possibly produce. So we have a number of dogs here that been on the stud list for a while that were born here. Ray Lewis is one of them. May well be. He's certainly a candidate for best Eli stud I've ever owned. He's been bred for a couple of years now, and his offspring are everybody's dream dogs. They are physically tough as nails, super athletic, intelligent, and super intense. And if you dig back through his pedigree, it's like an all-star list of the best Eli dogs that I've owned, including Chinaman, Champion Dolly. Many of you may not know who Champion Dolly is, but she was a very, very high caliber animal that was produced down in Florence, South Carolina. We paid a lot of money to bring her into the fold, but she contributed nicely. The Rosco dog, a lot of followers for that dog. All those are blended together into the Ray Lewis dog, and he is a formidable specimen himself. He's an apex predator. Um, got quite a few dogs on this list, both dogs that are here and already functioning as studs, and dogs that you will not have heard of because they're just waiting their turn. Creating a breeding program with longevity, there's a lot of layers to that. If you have a stud dog that has produced on a very high level and is recognized as being superior, one of your challenges as a breeder is to reach from the present into the future with that animal's genetics. You don't want them to, if it's proven, you don't want it to be lost to you or to the future. So from the time you realize that you're dealing with a superior producer, you start thinking about, well, who will replace him? These dogs don't live forever. They don't produce forever. And if you want to be a program of distinction, you have to demonstrate your breeding acumen by going from generation to generation to generation. There have been some great kennels in the past that have been the benefactors of having lucked into a great producer, and the well-being and productivity of that dog also defines the well-being and productivity of the program. Whenever that dog no longer produced, the breeding program no longer produced. We have applied ourselves from the beginning to develop strategies and mechanisms and procedures for being able to successfully go from generation to generation to generation. And I think we've probably accomplished that better than any other program in history. So, looking back at our list with that in mind.
If we could, sorry to interrupt, if we could just go back to Buddy Boy for just a second. When you start talking about this stuff, like all kinds of questions start popping up for me, especially relationship stuff. But there were two questions on Buddy Boy. Whenever I look at Vinny pedigrees, I just see a lot of brother-sister breeding. I see more brother-sister breeding than a lot of the other pedigrees I look at. How do you feel about that? What are the pluses and minuses of that? And could you just talk a little bit about brother-sister breeding?
Well, the fact that there is a high percentage of Eli blood in both of the animals that he started off with, Black Angel and Miss Nevada. The fact that there's significant Eli and Eli inbreeds extremely well, even brother-sister. But also there is other blood in there, which makes it not as tight as you might think. The heavy bolio and the Homer blood that goes into that, that basically made it a lot less tight. The main inbreeding that goes on between these two, between Miss Nevada and Black Angel, would be the Eli that's in Frisco and Chinaman, and then the Eli that's in Thurman's Too Short, which is off of my Cowgirl bitch, and then the Eli from Jeremiah and Spike. So you got a whole quarter there that it's not Eli. So starting out with a common denominator of Eli, but with a whole quarter or more of non-Eli blood, to me that's not that tight. And whenever Vinny put it together, he got animals that did not have inbred features. They had hybrid vigor, and they had toughness and athleticism invoked by the superior recessive genes in the Eli family. So Vinny's a great breeder himself. He's excelled in every aspect of his role as a dog man. And if at any point along the way he was producing dogs that were showing signs of inbreeding, he would have gone in a different direction. But the fact that you end up with a title dog, Lucky Way, after this series of inbreeding, tells you you're on the right track. And the fact that Buddy Boy is as physically capable as he is, that's your barometer. That's what tells you right off the bat that, yeah, we did it right.
Yeah. Well, the other question I had was, I see when I look at pedigrees, not just the dogs and the titled dogs, the interesting parts to me beyond that are the relationships between people. So, like, you have the Jethro dog from your friend Jeff, and then you have that bred back to your friend Vinny's dog, and then it's back on your dog. So I often wonder, like, what the relationship is between, like, you and Jeff and Vinny, because so many people have like their kennel clubs or their groups or the people that they go back and forth with. Sometimes people don't even know each other, sometimes they do. So what was your relationship? Were you like a facilitator, a middleman between them, or were they friends, or how did that all work out? How did you guys become friends? And
Well, there are different kinds of cliques and groups and different forces that bring different people together. For me, it's been, I'm perfectly happy just being lone wolf. But as I go through life, I've run into a handful of people who are of good character and had true aptitude for this business of dog breeding, or for dealing with dogs in general. And over the course of my life, I have connected with a handful of people that very, very capably met those criteria. And by virtue, I don't sound like I'm a matchmaker,
yeah.
but I kind of do. The reality is I brought some of the best people in the dog world today. I met first, and then by virtue of me having a relationship with all these different people, they have developed friendships with each other. And these people, all of excellent character, and we form an informal clique, and we have a decent amount of interaction with each other. Certainly Vinny would be one of the folks at the top of that list. Vinny showed great consideration to me when he put Chinaman in my hands, and it's not something that I've ever taken lightly. Anything that I have in my program that he's ever wanted, all he had to do is come out here and point at it, and he's done that a few times, and it's just a wonderful ongoing relationship. So in that particular case,
Yeah. Does Jeff call you? Does Jeff want to breed to a Vinny dog? Does Vinny want to breed to Champion Jethro? Like, how does that all work?
they developed enough of a relationship between them that I was not part of that process. They, I think they shared some dog activities, going to dog shows or something, and developed a dialogue that ultimately resulted in that bottom quarter of that pedigree.
Awesome. All right. Well,